Simplify the following. Write in radical form where necessary. To evaluate or simplify powers, the following exponent laws can be used. X to the a times x to the b equals x to the a plus b. When you multiply powers of the same base, add the exponents. X to the a divided by x to the b equals x to the a minus b. Dividing powers of the same base, subtract the exponents. X to the a raised to the b equals x to the a times b. One power raised to another power, simply multiply the exponents. X times y raised to the a, we can separate that to x to the a times y to the a. X over y raised to the a, again, x to the a over y to the a. X to the negative a, if we have a negative exponent, take the reciprocal and make it 1 over x to the a. For x to the 1 over n, note that the n as a denominator of the exponent becomes the index of a radical. Similarly, x to the m over n, the n, the denominator of the exponent, becomes the index of the radical. We can have either the nth root of x to the m or the nth root of x, all raised to the m. For the first question, everything inside the brackets has to be raised to the 2/3. Negative 64, a cubed, and b to the 5th, all raised to the 2/3. The negative 64 raised to the 2/3 is the same thing as the cube root of negative 64, all squared. A cubed raised to the 2/3 is the same thing as a squared, and b to the 5th raised to the 2/3, b to the 10 over 3. Note here we are multiplying the exponents. The cube root of negative 64 raised to the 2 is equal to 16. This is because the cube root of negative 64 is negative 4, and then negative 4 squared gives 16. We then have a squared, and the b raised to the 10 over 3, the 3 becomes the index of the radical, so we have the cube root of b to the 10. For the next question, we use the quotient law. When we divide powers that have the same base, we have to subtract the exponents. Note, however, that we need to get a common denominator in order to subtract these exponents. We get x then to the 8 over 6 minus 3 over 6. This gives x to the 5 over 6. Note that the 6 corresponds to an index of 6 for the radical. This then is the 6th root of x to the 5th. For the next question, we can first simplify everything that is inside the brackets and then raise all of everything inside the brackets to the negative 2. We have a 2 on the numerator and a 3 on the denominator. This gives 2/3 raised to the negative 2. If we look at the s, we have s to the negative 2/3 on the numerator and s to the 1 on the denominator. Using the quotient rule, negative 2/3 minus 1 gives s to the negative 5/3. And all of that also raised to the negative 2. Then looking at the t, we have t to the negative 1/4 on the numerator, t squared on the denominator. Negative 1/4 minus 2 gives negative 9 over 4. So we have t to the negative 9 over 4, all raised to the negative 2. For 2 over 3 to the negative 2, we can remove the negative from the exponent and take the reciprocal of 2/3. This gives a result of 3 over 2 squared. For the s and the t, we can simply use the power law and multiply negative 5 over 3 times negative 2 for the s, and negative 9 over 4 times negative 2 for the t. 3 over 2 squared, we simply square both the 3 and the 2 to get 9 over 4. For the s, we have the exponent, 10 over 3. The 3 becomes the index of the radical, so we have the cube root of s to the 10. For t to the 9 over 2, 2 is the index of the radical. Note that if it's a 2, you do not have to write it. It is assumed to be a square root. So then we have the square root of t to the 9. For the last question, we first have to simplify the denominator inside the brackets. The 2xyz all raised to the 3 becomes 2 to the 3, which is 8, x to the 3, y to the 3, and z to the 3. We can then raise everything after simplification inside the brackets to the negative 2/3. We have negative 27 over 8 raised to the negative 2/3, and x to the minus 1, y to the minus 6, z, all raised to the negative 2/3. Note that in order to get the x to the minus 1, y to the minus 6, and z, we use the quotient law. We remove the negative from the exponent for the negative 27 over 8, making it negative 8 over 27 to the positive 2 over 3. And then we use the power law to simplify the variables. X to the negative 1 times negative 2/3 becomes x to the 2/3. Y to the negative 6 raised to the negative 2/3. Again, we multiply. This gives y to the 4. And we have z to the negative 2/3. We can then write negative 8 over 27 to the 2/3 as the cube root of negative 8 over 27, all squared. We can write x to the 2/3 as the cube root of x squared. And we can take care of the negative exponent in the z to the negative 2/3 by placing the cube root of z squared on the denominator. This all simplifies to 4 times the cube root of x squared times y to the 4 over 9 times the cube root of z squared. The 4 over 9 comes from taking, first of all, the cube root of negative 8 over 27, which gives negative 2 over 3, and then squaring that to get 4/9.